to movies, to TV shows, to video games, from the many adaptations of Dracula to True Blood to The Lost Boys. True Blood was another show that I tried to get into. So I like vampires. Let me try and get into True Blood. I think I watched like half a season of that and then just dropped off. And it's a show, it looks like very well made. There's lots of seasons. This is a show that I should really get into. And I'm not just going to do it. I'm just going to get into it. So The Lost Boys.
Hi. Hello. Hi. It's me, your Void, coming back from, well, the Void. What happened? Where have I been? Why have I been? I don't know. What is the meaning of life? I died. I have been pretty quiet for the last month, which is due to the fact that I had the coldest of colds. Pretty sure this video is just my ghost recordings. In the first week of October, everything was fine. I was doing my Preptober things for NaNoWriMo. I was actually reading books. And then I had a library date with one of my friends. And we went to a little grocery store beforehand. And the cashier, she had a cough, quite a bad one. And she proceeded to cough into her hand, with which she then scanned the drink I wanted to have. Yeah, lo and behold, 3 days later, I lost the function of my nose, my ears, my throat. Couldn't breathe, couldn't hear, couldn't swallow. And I spent 3 weeks like that. Every time I looked at a screen, my eyes were melting. I couldn't concentrate for shit. So everything pretty much went downhill from there, and my top priority became breathing and existing. So that kind of ruined everything. I am glad that my NaNoWriMo project was surprisingly easy to plan. So I got everything done during the first week to a point where it was enough prep work for me to actually start NaNoWriMo without panicking. Am I panicking now? Not yet, but everything kind of came to a halt, and now I'm back. I'm healthy. I can do shit again. So I'm doing shit again, namely reading. Although for the first like 2 or 3 days after I was able to focus on shit again, I felt like I was in a reading slump, and that annoyed me tremendously. I mean, I love to read, so my brain refusing to read is kind of a big deal. But I found a way out of this reading slump in a single week with a pretty strange trick, I guess. Never tried this before. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. And it worked. It works brilliantly. That's what has been going on in these past couple of weeks. It was the cold of colds. I swear, I have never had a cold so aggressive. Not nice. Let's talk TBR, shall we? So for October, I had a small TBR and I failed miserably at reading that. I didn't finish a single book from my October TBR. I got to like 50% of Belladonna, and I read like the first 3 or 4 chapters of City of Dusk. And that's it. I did read the comic Fangs by Sarah Anderson in the library because they had it over, and I was just flipping through the pages, and then suddenly I read the whole thing. Cute little thing. Definitely cute. There's also a picture in there that is very much me, 24/7. And in lieu of me having a reading slump after coming out of the Cold of Doom, I decided to completely mood read in November. I was undershooting for November, being in the trenches of NaNoWriMo. I knew I wouldn't have as much motivation and or time to read. So I was like, okay, NaNoWriMo has 3 complete weeks, Monday to Sunday. Let's make it 3 books. I'm beyond my yearly reading goal anyways, so I don't need to put the pressure on me to reach a ridiculous goal. So I thought, okay, 3 books, November, that's it. And then my reading slump hit, and as everyone does, when you are in a reading slump, what do? You turn to social media, namely YouTube and TikTok these days. So I looked up how to get out of a reading slump, and everyone's like, read something fast-paced, read something short, reread an old favorite, read something low stakes, don't read fantasy. And then I looked at my bookshelf full of fantasies. I was looking at my bookshelf and I was like, I don't really feel all the books that are really short. Not feeling those. I looked at the 3 books on my shelf that aren't fantasy and I'm like, not really feeling those. I looked at my favorites and I was like, I'm not feeling like rereading an 800-page book. And then, out of nowhere, I just decided to say, fuck it. Let's read multiple books all at once, 1 chapter at a time, and then cycle through it. So I started 5 books at the same time. As you can see, these are quite chunky. I have 1 ebook. This is the shortest book on this TBR. It is called Far From Neverland by, I believe, Rylee Hale. And it's a smutty romance of Captain Hook and Peter Pan, where Captain Hook has to kidnap Peter Pan because Peter Pan went to the real world and grew up and now Neverland is dying. So Hook has to come over, haul his ass back to Neverland to fix everything. And apparently they fall in love during the kidnapping. Regular Tuesday. So there's that. That is my ebook and my quickest, shortest read I have on this list. Then I'm trying my hands once again at this beast. You may remember it from this wonderful piece of art. Vampires! This is called Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. It's a 500-600 page chunk of a book. Yeah, it's almost 600 pages long. About a witch and a vampire, and they are somewhat like private detectives of sorts, and they face off with, I believe, vampire drug lords or something like that. As you can see, I've already started it. There's also a beautiful little pixie in there. His name is Jenk, and he hates everyone, and that is actually kind of cute. Not too far into it yet. Like we just had the idea of starting our own little private company thing. So we'll see where this is going. Then I started Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, because this, according to the internet, this is a fast-paced, military-esque fantasy. And if there's one thing I like, it's military-esque fantasies. And everyone and their mother told me to read something fast-paced. So of course, I choose another 600-page opener to a fantasy series. Because that's what you do. I am 64 pages in. I really enjoy this so far. It's really cool. And I have the second book in my shelf. This is one of the rare instances where I bought the second book before touching the first book. Also, can we please have some appreciation for what is under the dust jacket for a second? Like, look at this. It's so pretty. It's also reflective. Look at that. Look at that. So pretty. So pretty. This is about a girl named Zeli. I'm probably effing up the pronunciation of her name. And she lives in a world where every magic user has been killed not too long ago. I believe it was 14 years ago. And now there is some heavy oppression going on, and she is on a quest to bring magic back to the world, I presume. Yeah, it says so on the back. She's on a mission to bring magic back to this world. I'm not at the point where she started said mission yet, but the first 64 pages gave me a good indication of how oppressed these former magic users were, or are, more likely. And oh boy, I hope that there are certain people that are getting killed in the most brutal way possible. Oh boy. Then I started a TikTok trend read with Haunting Adeline, which is by H.D. Charlton, which is a dark romance. We have the smut, we have the brutality, there is a surprisingly short list of trigger warnings for how dark everyone says this is. Not gonna lie, the trigger warnings that are in here are of the heavier sort, but I expected more somehow. I picked this up. It is about a guy who is, I believe, stalking a woman, and there is a strange attraction between the two, and it leads places. And last but not least, Blackwing Speeding by Alice London, which is a YA fantasy about birds. This is a world where birds are very important. Again, I'm not too deep into the story yet. Lots of world building so far, and I'm not gonna lie, I have only retained 2% of said world building. Namely, birds are important. Who would have thunk it with a title like that? This follows, I believe, 2 characters, twins. Their names are Bryson and Kylie, as they do things. Yeah, that is all I know about. We follow some twins because one of them wants to do things and the other one is like, you're an idiot, I have to save your ass. As you can tell, this doesn't look like a relaxed reading month on top of a reading slump. Strangely enough, my tactic of reading one chapter and then going to another book, reading another chapter of that one, and then going to another book and reading a single chapter of that, and then it works. Don't ask me how, but it just works. Given Blackwing Speeding had me at a chokehold yesterday, I read 2 chapters. Scandalous, I know, because of a little cliffhanger at the end. But it works! Reading 1 chapter at a time, and then just hopping to another book. And it's not like I read a chapter in one book, and then the next day I read 1 chapter in the next book. No. I pick up 1 book, read a chapter. Once I'm done with that, I pick up the next one in one go. Like I sit down for an hour or something, and I read all of them. Fascinating technique. Maybe I'm gonna keep this up because it's actually like, it actually makes me want to read. Like I'm excited to pick up all of these every day. Someone needs to make science with this. Like someone science this shit. Someone science this shit. Someone with more intelligence points than me science this shit. And then there is our love, our arch nemesis of NaNoWriMo. I am happily participating, but it's been a struggle. Not necessarily in getting the words on paper. That actually works surprisingly well. On paper, my NaNoWriMo, the first couple of days of NaNoWriMo actually went amazing for me. Just reached 10k, everything's hunky-dory. Technically I'm 15k behind of the genre standards of what I'm writing. But on paper everything is fine. Just that every single word, it's just hard to write them. Like it feels hard to come up with them. And I have a feeling they are all absolute fucking bullshit. Usually I'm okay with my writing. Like, I know it's a first draft, I know it's not meant to be perfect, but I can find pieces that I like. Not so this time. Not so this time. I can barely find a single line that I really like. It's just 10,000 words of nyeh, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I write in a genre that I rarely read and that I've never written before. Maybe it's because the almost complete absence of any kind of fantasy element. Just have a little small, tiny bit of fantasy in there, and it's not even a major point in the book. Maybe it's the absolute absence of blood and violence and gore, because usually at 10k, I usually have killed 1 or 2 characters in a horrific way. But no one is going to die in this book. No torture, no magic, nada. So weird. The feelings, the vibes aren't necessarily off. The vibes just have to be readjusted, and I don't know where the dial is to readjust them. But so far my writing is going well. It just doesn't feel well. But it's going. I'm getting there. Things are happening, things are moving, I'm going through my scenes, I'm going through my plot, everything's fine. On paper. So yeah, that is a little itty bitty update on me, my life, and I. What I'm reading, what I'm writing. I honestly have no idea where this is going. Neither in terms of writing nor in reading, and I'm just going with the flow of the rainwater down into the sewers this month. That's it. Bye. Ooh, the rainstorm's picking up. If I squint my ears, I can imagine it being an ocean on a beach. Instead, it's just the main road of this place and the rainstorm.